the field is harmless.
What the? What is this game?
Oh
my god.
What?
Oh my god.
What you just witnessed is the first documented use of what is probably the most infamous and game-breaking glitch in all of Epic Mickey. For some reason it's called LSS, which stands for Levitating Spray Stream, and it basically lets Mickey fly at almost any point in the game. All you have to do is double jump, and at the height of your jump, hold B to start spraying paint. And just before you hit the ground, tap Z to spray thinner. If you did it right, then Mickey will get all stretched out and start uncontrollably spraying paint all over the place.
Dude, put that thing away! They're like children here!
If you're made uncomfortable, then you can pause and unpause to make Mickey perpetually fall to his doom instead. Now you have to find something to slide off of, which will send Mickey flying upward depending on how steep the angle of the slope you're touching is. This glitch is used all the time in speedruns and opens up tons of opportunities for sequence breaking and other funny stuff. You can skip some of Gus's dialogue in the Dark Beauty Castle courtyard by flying up from the entrance. You can skip activating all the firework towers in the second visit of Dark Beauty Castle by flying around and touching the other side of the door you're supposed to be returning from later. You can even skip the Peatronic boss fight by flying over the invisible wall. Oh, okay, no, you still can't do that. Never mind. This glitch is so broken, it single-handedly took about an hour off of speedrun times after it was discovered because there's good places to use it pretty much anywhere. Another trick that goes hand in hand with LSS and Epic Mickey speedruns is called CFR, or Cutscene Free Roam. There's actually quite a few different places you can activate CFR throughout the game, but the earliest you can do it is in the very first room in the game, in Dark Beauty Castle. Destroy the first machine to damage the mechanical eye and make your way over to the second machine because that's where the glitch setup begins. What you have to do is destroy the machine to shut down the mechanical eye at the same time as one of Gus's text boxes appears. And there's two ways you can get a text box to appear. The first way to do it is arguably easier, or maybe it's not and I just happened to get it on my first try. But anyway, hit the machine once and stand right in between the machine and Gus. Press A to talk to him, which will bring up a text box, and at the same time use your spin attack to destroy the machine. If Gus says, "When you're ready, come to me and we'll get out of here," then you know you've done it correctly. The other way to do it is by hitting the machine once and then jumping in between Gus and the machine, which will activate the text box that Gus gives you if you stand right next to him. Hit the machine again right when this text box appears, and if you've done it right, then the winning text box will appear just like before. Now you need to run as fast as possible over to the exit to trigger the first 2D cutscene. If you're too slow, then Gus will say something about a secret room opening, and if that happens, you're screwed. Another possibility is that you reach the door at the same time this text box activates, and if that happens, then you'll get soft locked once you spawn in the next room. But if you beat the clock, then skip the cutscene and Gus will start to talk over it, which also freezes it. Once that's over, Mickey will pop into the next room, and now you've finally activated CFR. What CFR does is it puts Mickey into this weird state where he's allowed to walk around and use all of his abilities in some situations where the game normally restricts you from controlling him. You can get some pretty funny stuff to happen and completely sequence break some parts of the game by using this glitch. Here I ran in and destroyed the gear like nobody's business, and now the game is trying very desperately to play out 3 different conversations at once. The unfortunate thing about CFR is that you die or quit the game, then the game will realize that something is wrong and the glitch won't work anymore. And for some reason, if you make it all the way to the end of the Captain Hook fight with CFR still activated, then it won't work by the time you leave the Jolly Roger. The next one has to do with Small Pete in the Coliseum. Small Pete is up on this ledge that you can't get to, and there's even an invisible wall blocking you from paying him a visit. But just to the left of his perch, there's an inset in the wall that's just low enough to jump into. From there, you can just as easily jump to another inset in the wall to the left, jump up to the top of the Coliseum, and jump onto Small Pete's perch. Something that the game hides from you is that the hallway behind him abruptly ends, which is a common thing games do to create an illusion of depth in areas like this. Small Pete is somehow immune to thinner and even anvils, so you can't melt him into a puddle like the other NPCs in the game. What's weird is that if you talk to him, Mickey will teleport back to the center of the Coliseum, and his dialogue from when you first enter will play again, and Small Pete will even spawn another wave of blotlings to attack you. And if you talk to him enough times, he'll think that you defeated all the waves of blotlings and run away, which opens the gate to the next area. Now Mickey can take his place and own the Coliseum like he rightfully should. Let's take it over to Main Street. This glitch lets you move around as if you're in a 3D space even though you're in a 2D interior. To set up this glitch, start one of Big Bad Pete's Bunny Roundup quests. All you have to do is enter an interior like Horace's detective agency at the same time the last bunny enters the pipe. Normally when the last bunny gets sucked into the pipe, the camera moves around the city hall and Gus will tell you that you've caught all of the bunny children. But if you're in the middle of going inside an interior during this dialogue, the game apparently forgets to restrict the camera to be 2D. When you're in this state, Mickey can even use all of his abilities like paint and thinner, which means you can take your anger out on Horace for giving you a bunch of boring fetch quests. I guess this is what it would be like to live in a dollhouse. The next area is Oztown, and there's a super easy glitch that can be used to save some time in speedruns. Jump across the thinner to the bridge and just keep jumping at it and using the spin attack. Eventually Mickey will pop right through and you can take the projector to Mickey Junk Mountain without doing any of the quests in Oztown. What makes this glitch even weirder is that in your second visit to Oztown, right after you make it back from Mickey Junk Mountain, the game will think you did the paint path for the safe quest and the phone quest. The safe will still be at the gag factory, and if you try to thin out the wooden beam to drop it, it'll stay in the air like nothing happened. Speaking of Mickey Junk Mountain, there's a few glitches you can pull off in almost every area of the level. The first one has to do with these alarm clocks. There's a few of these scattered throughout the different areas of Mickey Junk Mountain, so you can do this glitch anywhere you see one of these clocks. Painting in these clocks will slow down the game just as if you had a watch sketch to use. But if you paint and thin out the clock a little too quickly, the game will get stuck in slow mode even when the clock is thinned out. This glitch is really cool because even the events around the map like the crane opening the lunchbox get slowed down. There's a ton of different funny ways you can use this glitch and it's really easy to pull off, which makes this one of my favorite glitches in the game. The next glitch is in the heap, so let's take the projector to leave. Alright, there he goes. Oh, he's back. Kinda just hanging out here, I guess. Oh, alright, almost. We're getting there. Oh, okay, here we are. Alright, that stretches out my video long enough. Inside the factory area, you can activate a couple of claws by freeing a gremlin or by dialing 512 on the giant phone in the corner. Hold on, is that one of those clocks I was just talking about? See, this is a pace I'm much more comfortable with. Once the claws are lowered, jump across to this ledge and turn around. Now just jump onto the ledge to your left and you're officially out of bounds. From here you can walk around and explore the level from a brand new angle. Just be careful or else you'll fall into the void. This next glitch is called the Gilda's Axe glitch, which you might have heard of before as it's one of the most well-known glitches in the game and it's also pretty useful and straightforward. This glitch requires you to get Gilda's climbing axe from the climbing hut in the slope, so make sure to grab that first. Then once you're in Oswald's sanctuary, thin out the giant Oswald carpet on the ground and make your way to the end of this tunnel. Once you approach the gate to your left, Gus will ask you if you want to sacrifice Gilda's axe to open the gate to gain access to a secret room with some collectibles. For this glitch to work, you have to say no to Gus and then just play through the rest of the game like normal. Once you meet Gilda again later in the game, you can give her back her axe to get a power spark, which logically would mean that Mickey doesn't have the axe with him anymore, right? But when you get back to Oswald's sanctuary just before you fight the Shadow Blot, you can go back to the gate and use the axe that you apparently still have to get inside the secret room. This means that you can get the reward from returning the axe to Gilda as well as the 3 pins you can find in the secret room. It seems like the developers themselves found out about this glitch too, because in the Japanese version of the game, this glitch was patched out of the game entirely. Let's skip ahead all the way to Tortuga, and I mean that literally. This glitch is one of the 5 glitches called Sheep Skip, as it's named after the person who discovered it. It's a little complicated and hard to pull off, but it lets you skip pretty much everything you would otherwise have to do in Tortuga. Get Beluga Billy's bag and then make your way up to the top of the mansion, and jump behind the wall just behind it. Now you're out of bounds, which is already pretty cool, but there's more. If you walk closer to the gate you take to get to Pirate Voyage, then Gus will have some unused dialogue that's normally impossible to trigger. And what's even more fascinating is that if you do this out of bounds glitch during Visit 2 of Tortuga, Gus will ominously say "Dead men tell no tales," followed by "Worked as promised, let's head through." After this, the gate will swing open, which paired with what Gus was saying in Visit 1, suggests that at some point in the game's development, Mickey was supposed to use the phrase "Dead men tell no tales" as a password to open the door. Now that's cool and all, but we still have the actual skip to do, and the hardest part at that. What you have to do is jump into a tiny gap in between the gate and one of the pillars, and jump across the thinner to land on a platform with Beluga Billy's sword on it. But if you land in the wrong spot, the sword won't spin around, which will make it impossible to get to from out of bounds. And sometimes you'll just die when the game's showing you where the sword is. If you manage to make it to the sword, break open the chest right next to it, because you'll need the extra health to jump across the thinner onto an inset in the wall that has collision. Now thin out the door to the jail and jump into the spot that triggers Gus's text box. You have to be careful when you press A to close the text box, because Mickey can still die when the screen is fading out. The best way to survive is to press A right after Mickey touches the thinner, and while the game is fading out, jump back onto the rock you were just standing on. Once you're in the jail, you're safe, and you can leave and return the sword and bag to Beluga Billy to unlock the watch sketch. Now let's do the Shadow Blot skip, which you might be familiar with. It's so easy to do that you can even do it completely on accident. I know I've accidentally done it at least twice before. This glitch requires some setup throughout the course of your playthrough, so you'll have to plan pretty far ahead. In Skull Island, you have to either ignore or jam the paint or thinner pumps, which I'll explain in a second. And in the Lonesome Manor, you have to do the paint path for the pipe organ. The reason you have to do the paint path is because you have to talk to Lewis to start the bell quest. Once the quest is started, go to Ventureland and buy a piece of the bell for 300 e-tickets. The reason you have to buy the bell and ignore the Skull Island machine is because when both of these things are done, the game sets your Mean Street progress state to Visit 6. And Visit 6 of Mean Street happens to be when the Bloticles are attacking. So when you take the projector to leave Ventureland, all of a sudden the Stormblot will be free. Which means you don't have to go to Mickey Jug Mountain to fight the Shadow Blot, hence the name. But there's one crucial detail that some people miss about this glitch. If you try to go to Oztown after beating the Bloticle in Mean Street, your game is totally because of how messed up the game's flags are, seeing as you just completely skipped an entire boss fight. Going back to Oztown after doing the Shadow Blot skip permanently soft locks the game. The only thing you can do from here is delete your save file, or if you know what you're doing, you can use a save editor program to fix your save. I'm just going to change a few values here and see if that works. Alright, I think we're done here.